They used to laugh at my lips and my hair, but I'm not shrinking for anyone anymore.
Let's take it back to the year 1956. America was still sitting comfortably inside Jim Crow like it was a permanent lifestyle. Segregation wasn't a shock yet. It wasn't a museum topic. It was normal. It was enforced. It was defended. And black people were expected to survive it quietly, politely, and with a smile on their face, which was a sad reality, because even back then, black culture was too powerful to be quiet. On the radio, Little Richard was ripping through speakers with Tutti Frutti. And on television, they were still acting like black entertainers were too much, but Little Richard was already proving that too much is exactly what sells, especially once the same people clutching pearls started cashing checks off it. That's the backdrop. Because to understand the modern beauty obsession, it has to be placed inside the timeline of what this country has always done. It punishes black people socially while borrowing black style culturally. And that brings Scope News to today's investigation, the almost exhausting, borderline obsessive trend that keeps growing like a weed no one wants to pull. White women chasing bigger lips. Not lip gloss bigger, not chapstick and hydration bigger. We're talking syringes, clinics, just a little more. Fix it, touch it up, make it plump, or make it pout. Or can you make it look like I woke up like this, knowing good and well nobody wakes up with a receipt from the injector? Now here's why this story needs to be told, and why it isn't just a silly celebrity vanity topic. The obsession with fuller lips is one of the clearest examples of an American pattern that never dies. Black women were mocked, insulted, and stereotyped for having full lips. They were called names. They were caricatured. They were treated like their faces were too much. And then, in the modern era, the very same feature gets rebranded, repackaged, and resold as luxury, as long as it's sitting on the right face. That's the scam right there. It was a scheme. Set up by Todd, it was such a shame. Because when black women have full lips naturally, it's framed as something loud, ghetto, ratchet, too grown, too sexual, unprofessional. But when white women buy full lips, the language magically flips into something safer and more flattering. It becomes cute or doll-like. Youthful too. It becomes balanced. It is seen as European, or even high fashion, or soft glam. And suddenly everybody acts like it's normal, like this didn't just come from decades of bullying and double standards. And Scope News has to be honest. The beauty industry doesn't just profit from insecurity. It profits from racial amnesia. It makes money when people forget who was punished for the feature first and who gets rewarded for it now. Now let's talk history, because this isn't new behavior. People act like modern cosmetic obsession came out of Instagram, but white beauty culture has always been about modification. The only thing that changed is the method. Before needles, there was engineering. Before fillers, there was framing. Before body goals, there was structure. Corsets weren't just underwear. They were body control. They were rib cages being told to shrink for society. And the pannier skirts from the colonial era were not just fashion. They were architecture. They were the original shapewear era, except it wasn't shapewear. It was a whole construction project built under a dress. Those skirts made hips look wider and waists look smaller. They created an exaggerated silhouette that screamed status. That was the original cosmetic illusion, the original BBL mindset without the surgery, the original, I don't want my real body. I want the body that makes people stare. This was in fact the OG BBL. The tools were different, but the obsession was the same. The idea that womanhood is something you can design like a product. And the funniest part is how people pretend this is all about personal choice, like it's just a random hobby. No. This has always been about trends shaped by society, money, and hierarchy. It has always been about chasing whatever gets rewarded. Back then, the reward was looking like wealth. Today, the reward is looking like influence. And once social media entered the chat, The face became a business card. Lips became branding. Pout became currency. Suddenly, everybody is talking about aesthetic like it's a personality trait, and the beauty industry saw an opening and ran through it like they were late for a check. That's why the Kylie Jenner story sits at the center of this modern conversation. Because Kylie didn't just get lip filler. She turned lip filler into an empire. The lips became the headline, and the products became the profit. That isn't gossip, that's economics, that's marketing. That's a blueprint for the entire influencer era. Change the face, sell the fantasy, then monetize the insecurity of the audience watching it. And once that happened, lip filler stopped being celebrity behavior and became something regular people felt pressured to do just to look current. The standard moved. The before became unacceptable. The after became normal. And what makes it even more twisted is that the look being chased is often the same look black women had naturally. Except black women didn't get applause for it. They got stereotypes for it. They didn't get pretty privilege. They got suspicion. They didn't get soft glam. They got disrespect. Now let's bring up another point, because it proves this is not just about lips. It's about a larger pattern of copying black features and black aesthetics after insulting them first. Think about the 1980s, the era of big hair, big attitude, big shoulder pads, big everything. And what did white women do? They went out of their way to get perms. They literally sat in salons for hours getting chemicals baked into their hair so they could chase texture, volume, and a look that leaned closer to kink and body than what their natural hair did on its own. They teased it. They sprayed it. They fluffed it. They fought for it in the mirror like it was a mission. Meanwhile, black people already had big hair, already had volume, already had afros, already had texture, already had presence. And black hair was still treated like a problem in workplaces, and not just there either. It happened to black women in schools, while white women were being praised for the same type of drama and fullness once they purchased it artificially. That is the pattern again, clear as day. Black people are treated like the feature is wrong when it belongs to them. But once the feature is on a white body, it becomes trendy, it becomes rock star, it becomes bold, it becomes fashion. So now in the modern era, it's lips. Bigger lips are treated like a must-have upgrade, like a woman can't be considered fully done unless her mouth looks like it's permanently posing for a selfie. It's treated like the last step in becoming attractive, youthful, desirable, and that girl. But Scope News is going to say the quiet part loud. This obsession is not just about beauty. It's about proximity to an aesthetic that has been associated with black femininity for a long time, while still wanting the social protection that comes with whiteness. Because that's the cheat code. White women can borrow the features, borrow the vibe, borrow the influence, borrow the spice, borrow the edge, borrow the look, and still be treated as delicate, classy, soft, and respectable. Black women rarely get that same grace. Black women can wear their natural face and still get treated like it's aggressive, like it's too much, like it needs to be toned down. And that's why this story doesn't feel like harmless beauty chatter. It feels like history recycling itself with better packaging. From corsets to the pannier. From teased perms to lip filler, the obsession stays consistent. The idea that beauty is something to be constructed and controlled, and that the features black women were ridiculed for can be turned into profit when the right people decide they're in. So no, this is not just about white women wanting bigger lips. This is about America's favorite hustle. Mock the feature, punish the people, steal the style, rebrand the look, and then sell it as luxury like it was invented yesterday. That's not a trend, that's the system. And in the words of Mariah Carey, why are you so obsessed with me? Scope News tells the truth. Here are the facts. Special thanks to public historical scholarship on corsets, structured fashion, and the pannier silhouette in European women's wear. Documented reporting and interviews around Kylie Jenner's publicly discussed cosmetic enhancement and its pop culture impact. Cultural history around 1980s hair trends and the widespread salon perm era. And broader public research and commentary examining how black features have been stereotyped, commodified, and rebranded over time depending on who is wearing them. This content is provided for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. Scope News is a commentary-driven platform discussing cultural patterns, historical context, and publicly documented trends in beauty, media, and consumer behavior. This episode is not medical advice and does not provide diagnoses, treatment recommendations, or professional guidance related to cosmetic procedures, fillers, body modification, mental health, or self-image. Any discussion of cosmetic enhancement is presented for cultural analysis and public awareness, and viewers should consult licensed medical professionals regarding risks, side effects, and personal suitability for any procedure. Public figures mentioned are discussed in the context of publicly available reporting and cultural impact, not as personal attacks or medical evaluations. Historical references to slavery, segregation, and Jim Crow are included to explore the long arc of American beauty standards, racial double standards, and the way certain features have been stigmatized in one era and commercialized in another. Viewer discretion is advised.